Nurse Allen coming to you today from Healing Healthcare Training Institute here in the state of Michigan. We're about to go over a Headmaster's TMU video from the mock skills list. Today we will be going over dressing a resident with an affected side. So we're going to go over all the steps that it takes to do this skill. It seems really simple, which it is, but practice makes perfect. So when we're doing the skills, we want to make sure that we go over all the steps. And in a scenario, the proctor will read you what side she wants you to start on. So for practicing, we're going to go over that the proctor told us the right side. Now, once we know what side we're supposed to, that's affected, then we're going to go do the opposite side to undress. So what we're going to do now is go over the steps. So it's telling you what are we supposed to do before we go in. Now in bolded print, it has certain things that you should be doing, paying close attention to, so that the proctor gives you proper credit. So I'm going to go over this scenario and it's going to look something like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go knock on the door. Good afternoon, Miss Allen. My name is Tanita. I'll be your CNA. I'm here to get you dressed. Is that okay? The patient is going to give me permission to get her dressed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my hand sanitizing till my hands are completely dry. I'm going to check all the wheels, make sure the bed is locked, checking it for safety, making sure it's locked. I'm going to provide my patient privacy. And then I'm going to let Miss Allen know that I'm going to go get my supplies. Miss Allen, I'm going to get my supplies. So the supplies that's needed for this skill, the skill is telling me to dress the patient in a top, bottom, and socks. So I'm going to grab all of my items. So I'm going to grab my socks, my top, and my items. So now that I have my items, now let me get a barrier to put on the table. So I'm going to put a barrier on the table and I'm going to grab a towel, something to cover the patient up. So now that I have my supplies, you can use a barrier, Chuck's pad, paper towel, but it has to have a barrier on the table. I'm choosing, for my facility, I use this as my barrier, so it'll always stick in their mind that they need a barrier on the table. So the first thing I'm going to do, I got all my supplies. I'm going to remove Miss Allen's call light. I've already raised the bed to a working height. Now I'm going to place a warming blanket over Miss Allen to keep her covered up so that she's not exposed at any given time. Okay, Miss Allen, I have you covered. I'm going to fan fold the cover down, not exposing anything other than what I'm going to do at one particular time. So I'm going to keep her covered up. So the first part of my skill, I'm going to undress Miss Allen from her non-affected side. So I'm going to go on the left side and take her arm out of the gown. So I'm undressing Miss Allen, taking her arm out of the gown. So I've taken her arm out of the gown on her left side, not exposing her. Now I'm going to take her arm out on her affected side. So I'm taking her arm out, making sure not to expose her too much, just keeping her covered up, making sure the blanket stays intact. So now that I have Miss Allen undressed, I'm removing that gown. I'm going to sit that to the side. So I'm going to sit that here. And now I'm going to take the top and place it on Miss Allen. So when you're dressing a person with an affected side, what side should we start on first? We're going to undress the patient from the strong side to the affected side. So now we're going to dress Miss Allen from her affected side to her non-affected side. So I'm going to take her gown, her shirt, and put it on, making sure to cover her up. And then I'm going to pull the gown, pull her shirt over, up under her. Okay, Miss Allen, I'm going to lift you up. And then I'm going to put her strong side in her arm, in her shirt. So now that I have Miss Allen covered, she still has her blanket on, her warming blanket. I'm just going to make sure she's tidied up. And I'm going to start to button up her shirt. So I'm going to take and button up the first button. And keep moving downward. Now, after I have Miss Allen dressed at the top, let me move this over so you can see me a little better, because I don't know if you can see what I'm doing too much. There we go. So now that I have her dressed at the top, I'm going to pull down the towel out from under her shirt. Again, keeping everything covered so that nothing is being exposed. So now I'm going to fan fold down the cover a little further so that I can dress Miss Allen at the bottom. So now the scenario calls for me to put on her some socks. So I'm going to put her on her socks. So I'm going to dress her feet. The socks really didn't matter what order you put them on in. But the scenario reads that the socks should be smooth on her skin. So you want to make sure that you're emphasizing that the socks are on smooth on her skin. So now I'm putting on her second sock, same way. Making sure that her socks are smooth on her skin. Now I am ready to dress the bottom. So now I have her pants. Gonna make sure I have them on right. So I'm gonna gather them up, and I'm gonna start with her involved side, weak side, affected side, side of concern. So we want to make sure that we're doing that first. So I'm gonna put her leg in over there first. Then I'm going to gather up the other one and do her strong side. Okay, Miss Allen, we're going to put your pants on. So once I get her pants on, I'm just going to work them upward. As I'm working them up, I'm pulling up her blanket, her warming blanket. Mind you, she's not exposed at any given time. So now as I'm pulling up her pants, just want to make sure Miss Allen is comfortable. I'm pulling up all the slack. I started on the weak side. So I'm starting on this side here. So now I'm going to pull her pants up. And then I'm going to ask Miss Allen, do you mind? I'm just going to pull your pants up. I'm going to pull the towel out, not exposing anything. Can you lift your bottom? Count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Her pants are all the way up. She's now dressed. Now I'm just going to situate her in the bed. Now she's nice and comfortable. I'm going to just sit her up a little bit in the bed. She's now in her gown. I'm sorry, I keep saying her gown. In her pajamas. So I'm going to remove the warming blanket. I'm going to sit it on my barrier. I'm going to cover Miss Allen back up. Now I'm going to put her call light back in reach. I'm going to lower her bed. I'm going to open her privacy curtain. I'm going to pull her table back over to her side. And I'm going to take my barrier and all my supplies and take them to the dirty linen, discard it in the dirty linen. That is done down into the dirty linen. Now, all I have to do is do my hand hygiene. So now I'm going to clean my hands. I'm going to step back, look at my environment, make sure everything looks pleasantly together. So when you leave your patient's environment, it should be clean, intact, so that you don't have to go in that room for another 2 hours. So I'm going to look at my background and look at my environment and see if it's nice and neat. And then I'm thinking about the steps of my skill. Did I knock on the door? Did I announce myself? Did I let the patient know what I was doing? Did I provide the patient privacy? Did I provide the patient safety, checking all the bed, around the bed? Did I do my hand hygiene? Yes, I did. Now, what was the skill? The skill itself was dressing the patient with the weak side. I dressed her, the patient, the proctor gave me a scenario of dressing the right side. I dressed the patient on the right side. I took her clothes off the left side to the right side. When I dressed her from her weak side to her strong side. I did the same thing with her pants. I put her on her socks. They were smooth on her skin. I did all of that, and then I discarded all of my dirty linen into the dirty linen basket. I did that. At that time, I can do it 3 times in my mind just to make sure that I did everything I was supposed to do. Then at that time, if I'm comfortable that I've done everything, then I can tell my proctor that my skill is complete. Please like, subscribe, and share. I will be bringing videos on a regular basis to get you prepared for headmasters. Now, if you make a mistake on any skill, I always tell you to say correction, because you only have 30 minutes. Now, I'm doing this skill a little slower, and it says I'm at like 12, 13 minutes. This should not take you that long. If you're practicing the skill, it should only take you maybe 5 to 6 minutes of skill, maybe 8, depending on the technicality of the skill. You want to make the technical part of the skill, I'm sorry. It shouldn't take you that long. But I always tell people, you don't have time to go back and say, oh, and go get it. You just say, correction, I forgot to put this down. I did put a barrier. I forgot to let the bed up. You just let the proctor know what part of the skill you forgot, and then she can give you credit for it. Then you say skill complete. That's why we give you time to go over everything in your mind. That's why we don't want to rush and say skill complete. Until you've done everything, make sure everything's perfect. Then that's when you tell your proctor skill complete. Thank you for looking at the videos. I will be redoing them as I get better with them. So just keep out looking. I will be bringing them back again. Take care.